Anyone can learn the handstand. Balancing on your hands, holding the rest of your body in one piece while you're basically upside down is why it's one of the most respected skills. There are 7 components to the handstand, which we will focus on in this workout. Blood flow, flexibility, line conditioning, balance, the bailout, handstand drills, and the kick-up. We will not be doing the full handstand in this workout or any type of wall handstand or shoulder taps because these movements are useless for a beginner and will not get you from here to here. Mastering the baby steps is crucial. We will start the workout with blood flow. Just like every training session, we must do a warm-up. We want to get blood flowing throughout our body, prepped for everything ahead. Start with jogging, cycling, running, or skipping on the spot for around 5 to 10 minutes. And once you feel warmed up, you're ready to move on to flexibility. Now, a lot of people don't think flexibility is a big part in handstands, but you'd be surprised at how big of a role flexibility plays. A lot of people have tight hamstrings, tight hips, and tight shoulders, which limits your range of motion when learning the handstand. And this tightness doesn't mean you can never achieve the handstand. Instead, you need to take care of those weak points, and that's where flexibility comes in. Handstands are a full body movement, so we will prioritize flexibility in majority of our muscle groups, starting with the shoulders. We really want to prepare our shoulders to be as mobile as they can for the workout, starting with active windshield openers. You should feel your upper chest lengthen during this and start to feel that your arms can go back further during each rep, doing this for 20 reps. Next stretch is cat pose. Extend your arms forward, fingertips on the ground with your hips above your knees with a posterior tilt, tucking your tailbone down. Tuck your chest down as far as you can towards the floor and hold this stretch for 30 seconds. Otherwise, you can go in and out of the stretch for 10 to 15 seconds. And you should feel the biggest stretch in your shoulders and arms. You may also use a chair or a platform in front of you to go deeper into the stretch, doing the exact same exercise just with your arms raised. Next in flexibility is our hamstrings. Now, a lot of people skip past this step because they don't think it's necessary, but your hamstring flexibility is extremely important in handstand because it's the biggest factor in whether you can kick up into the handstand or not. And if your hamstrings aren't well prepped or flexible, you might really injure yourself or have a really weak kick up. And your goal should be to achieve that smooth, straight leg kick up. And that requires well-prepped, flexible hamstrings. When doing the hamstring stretches, do not push yourself into an uncomfortable stretch that hurts. The stretches should not be painful, so only go at a level that feels like a slight, mild sensation, not a painful sensation. Grab a rope, band, or towel and wrap that around your foot. We will start with active isolated stretching, which is basically holding a stretch for a short amount of time, going in and out of that stretch rather than holding the stretch in one spot, which is static stretching. We will do the bent knee hamstring. With one hand holding the back of your hamstring to stabilize your quad, use the other hand to hold your attachment. Raise your foot up towards the ceiling until you feel that mild stretching sensation, and hold this position for 2 seconds before coming back down. As your quad is the working muscle, your hamstring will relax and lengthen. Do this for 10 to 12 reps of 2 sets per leg. Next, we will do straight leg active isolations. Similar to what we did before, this time your leg will be straight and you will raise it up and back down slowly using the attachment as your guide. You'll feel a deeper stretch during these again, holding the stretch at the top of this movement for 1 to 2 seconds before coming back down. Doing these for 2 sets of 10 to 12 reps per leg. Finishing flexibility with our wrist warm-up, another most essential part of our workout routine since our wrists will be trained just as equally as every other muscle group when learning how to do the handstand. Start with wrist rotations for 30 to 60 seconds, followed by around the worlds and floor forearm stretches until you feel your wrists start loosening up. And remember not to hold in one stretch for too long. We want to make sure we're actively moving our wrists. Now that the warm-up's finished, we start the workout, starting with line conditioning, the tuck hollow. This exercise will help build and stabilize our core strength, which will really help us with our handstand. Hold onto a stick to help your hands stay shoulder width apart. You don't need this, but it can be helpful to hold. Now the point of line conditioning is to lengthen our body and keep it in one piece with control, pushing your arms and legs out as far as you can so your body becomes one line. Your goal is to hold a full hollow with control without breaking, but for most beginners, holding the hollow all the way down here will be too difficult, so instead you'll hold the hollow tucked, bringing your arms and knees up to a height that you can hold for 30 to 60 seconds. You want to make sure your lower back does not come off the floor, so you can hold any type of tuck, whether that's here or here, as long as your lower back is still on the floor. So be aware of this when holding your hollow. Again, we want to aim for at least a 30 to 60 second hold, not a 5 to 10 second hold, so make sure you're at a tuck where you can hold that position for that time frame. Next is the front line drill. This time you will lay on your stomach, again holding onto a stick to help keep your arms shoulder width apart, reaching as far as you can, creating as much distance between your arms and feet as you can by lengthening out. Look directly in the center of your hands or stick while holding this position and go into a posterior pelvic tilt, so your belly button is the only thing that comes up off the floor. Make sure you're not raising your lower back off the floor too high like this, where you lose that control. The posterior pelvic tilt should be a very subtle movement that slightly brings your belly button up off the floor as you squeeze your glutes and abs to tilt your hip flexors down. Aim to hold this position for 30 seconds or work to hold this for as many sets of 20 seconds until you complete 45 to 60 seconds total. Now we're moving on to balance. Balance is the foundation to handstands, and learning how to balance correctly means learning how to find that center point where your body stays aligned and stable. The frog stand is the first step in balancing to learning the handstand, and all beginners learning how to balance must practice the frog stand correctly. And a lot of us used to do these as kids for fun, but we never knew that they're the most effective way to teach your body how to balance and keep stable, because they create body awareness by forcing your body to balance on your hands, and during this, you're building strength in your arms, shoulders, and core. Being in the low to ground position reduces your risk of falling, but you can grab a pillow or a blanket to place in front of you to give you that peace of mind. Place your hands on the ground with your fingers facing forward, not inwards or outwards. An extra way to help you balance is to claw the ground with your fingers instead of having your hands flat on the ground. Place your inner thigh on your elbows or slightly above while looking at that center point in between your hands. And the most important part of this is to protract and depress your scapula during the frog stand, creating a rounded back. This is what the frog stand looks like when you don't protract and depress your scapula, which is not what we want. But if you find protraction difficult, scapula push-ups are a great way to understand this and strengthen this. And before jumping straight into the frog stand, you can use one foot at a time to push yourself off the floor until you find that balance point, until you can do this for longer and longer holds without getting unbalanced. And once you're more and more comfortable being in this position, it's time to try the full frog stand. Aim to hold this for 45 seconds, otherwise continue with rocking back and forth, balancing on one leg for 4 sets of 10 seconds total. Next, we will learn the bailout. The bailout is a controlled way of safely exiting the handstand, so learning this correctly will save you if you ever collapse from your handstand. We will start on the floor doing bunny hops. These baby steps are extremely important controlled movements that help condition your body, allowing it to feel more secure and trust itself during the handstand. And bunny hops will help you get from here to here. You're going to start with your hands on the floor facing towards the front, simply jumping your hips back and forth around your hands. Once you get more comfortable with this, you can internally rotate one hand so your fingers basically point towards the hand that's already on the floor. And when you do this, you will create more distance in your jump as they can get a little higher and longer each time. Doing this for 3 sets of 10 reps with a 3 to 1 minute break in between sets. You can then start doing this one hand at a time, only raising your hand slightly, going into the same bunny hop, this time jumping into the second hand that's raised. Your raised arm shouldn't be back here, it should only be raised in front of you slightly. You'll find momentum when doing this, and it will feel more and more comfortable doing these for 3 sets of 10 reps. Eventually, you can bring in a box or a chair once you get more and more comfortable with the floor, and the box will allow you to get higher and closer to that handstand position, doing this for 2 sets of 10 reps. The more you practice these bailout drills, the faster your body learns how to react instinctively in moments of panic during a handstand if you ever get unbalanced. Now we move on to box drills. Box drills help your body develop the skills needed to be in that freestanding handstand by learning proper body positioning. And the most important part of these drills we are about to do is shoulder elevation. Proper form and conditioning is what will make your handstand last longer without you collapsing 1 second in. Your goal should be to hold the handstand for long periods, not just achieving a straight line. That's why it's essential to elevate your scapula and push tall during all of your drills, and eventually when you do the full handstand too. Having depressed shoulders can lead to bad form and a weak handstand that never holds. But when your shoulders are elevated, there's no unnecessary movement, which makes the handstand more stable. So from now on, we will always focus on scapular elevation. To elevate your scapula, push up tall, lock your elbows, and make sure you're looking at that center point in between your hands. Do not look at the box in front of you, because this can lead to you leaning in and sinking into your shoulders, depressing them. Grab a few boxes or any platform surface that's tall enough for your upper body to be in a complete straight line like this. You don't want to be too far away from your box or use a platform that's too short where your back arches. Once you have your setup, walk into position, remembering to elevate your shoulders, looking directly at the floor in the center of your hands, and hold this position. Your hips should be stacked on top of your hands in one line with your entire body. Hold this position for 3 sets of 10 to 30 seconds with a 1 to 3 minute break in between sets. And if you're uneasy about this box drill, you can place your box near a wall for that extra support. Next, we have Scapula Shrugs. These will help train your body to be more used to that shoulder elevation we talked about before. Mimicking what you will be doing in the handstand, your scapula should be the only thing moving, shrugging up and back down. Doing this for 4 sets of 10 reps. Finally, we will finish with wall drills. We won't be doing any sort of wall handstand hold. What we will be doing are box and wall kick-up drills. Have your hand placement shoulder width apart with a slight external rotation of your fingers, with your shoulders directly over your hands. Look at that center point in between your hands and be conscious of not looking too far back when doing these, because then your feet and hips will push towards the wall, ruining your kick-up. Grab your box placed near a wall and get into position with your back to the wall. Using a lower box will require more hamstring flexibility, so again, that's why it's so important that we prepped our hamstrings for these in our warm-up. The leg that you kick with will step up straight towards the wall, so it's in one line with your body. Lower it back down while your other bent leg stays on the box. Again, be conscious of keeping that form with your shoulder position and focal point exactly the same. Do these for 3 sets of 5 to 10 reps per leg. Finishing with the reverse of this exercise, chest to wall kick up. We will do the exact same thing, kick up and back down. This time your chest will be facing the wall, with one leg on the wall at any height that makes you feel comfortable, with the other leg kicking up and back down. Again, keeping that exact same shoulder position and focal point. We will do this for 3 sets of 5 to 10 reps per leg. Now you've finished the workout. If you even made it this far, what you just did was level 1 of 7 handstand workouts from my complete beginner handstand program. And each level gets more and more challenging. So if you loved training this way, you'll definitely love the rest. So I've linked it down below for you.